to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, you know I'm honored that you're joining us this week. As you listen to the show, I really hope, I don't know how you cannot, but I hope you feel my passion about that word change. And I know it freaks us out, right? Some of us, change is thrust upon us and we get a little willy-nilly about it. If we choose change, that's a different path altogether. So to help you on your journey of change, I have my free gift for you, which is my communication style assessment. You get 2 reports. One, it shows your natural superpowers of how people perceive your messaging through communication. And the flip side, your lowest score, which is usually a blind spot, you get a second report on that so you can identify that blind spot and ask for help or review or work on or hire someone, whatever it might be, again, to minimize the change or the angst of the change that you're going through. Now, my motivational quote today is by William S. Burroughs. And William says, "Your mind will answer most questions if you learn to relax and wait for the answer." Now, when I read this quote, I felt like it was talking to me because I really do move so fast all of the time. And oftentimes I forget to slow down enough to hear and feel the answers that I'm seeking that I know are actually within me. Now, this has been a lifelong challenge for me to slow down enough so that I can actually speed up. And at first, this concept seemed super counterintuitive to me, right? Motion is a good thing. And as I age, the truth is that slowing down to speed up is spot on and always allows me to hear and feel what that next correct step is for me, for my family, for my business. And the other reality is that anxiety is everywhere these days. And I think the toll is high. You can hardly hear the messages above all of the noise out there. Yet a simple, scientifically verified meditation practice can literally end the anxiety and open the floodgates for success. Are you intrigued? I hope you are, because today my guest is James G. Meade, PhD, and James and I are going to discuss his new book, End Anxiety. Now, Jim is an author of more than 30 books and has taught give me a second, because Connie Whitman, she gets tongue-tied, but he's written 30 books and has taught transcendental, you could fix me later, Jim, meditation from LA to New York, in Africa, Asia, and in the Caribbean. On the meditation front, Jim's The Answer to Cancer has a worldwide word of mouth following. And on the business front, The Human Resource Software Handbook draws upon his 100 software reviews in SRAM HR magazine. He's a popular and entertaining teacher and has a collection of rave reviews at the back of his book, which often concludes in, "Jim has changed my life." So please help me welcome the amazing Jim to the show. Jim, thanks for being on and coming and sharing your zone of genius with us.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful introduction. And I love the quote from William S. Burroughs, who, because my PhD is in English, I've read him.
Yay. So isn't that, now here's the thing, everyone, that is kismet. I never ask my guests for the quote. I read their bio and the information, and then I go and I scour the internet for just the right quote that just seems to hit me. And that one hit me, Jim, because honestly, you could see, we were chatting a few minutes before recording the show. I move fast, I think fast. And as I'm aging, learning that meditation, slowing down, all of those things actually serve us instead of running from one thing to the next. And as a business owner, it's tough. It's tough because we have so much that we have to fit in.
A fellow that I taught last week said to me, first of all, during the meditation, he said everything slowed down. But then, in fact, a doctor, and I posted a podcast of his, said that that's what happens for him, is during an emergency, is that everything slows down. And it's like the experience, I've umpired some baseball, and sometimes in that critical moment, everybody else in the crowd is seeing things at the speed that they're going at, but you see it in slow motion. And so the TM actually does, on the one hand, slow things down, but it preserves what it is that you so much want to preserve, and that is your dynamism. And that's what's unique about this as a meditation, is that, yes, it's calming, it has the effect of a sedative even, so that there goes your anxiety, but not your edge. We maintain our competitive edge. That's why we have many stockbrokers in this crazy, crazy world. In fact, I taught one of those last week, and he came in because he was so depressed by what the stock market is doing right now. And he was happy. He was happy. He said, I don't even know how I found the time to do this because my work is going crazy. My customers are so unhappy. And he said, but this has calmed me down so much. And yet he's been active and keeps that edge.
And see, I think that's important. I think people think like meditation, you have to go up on the mountain, find the monk, and then sit and do om, right? And it's
Right.
this whole imagery, I think that we feel or that we've seen on TV, right? That's our exposure. And that really isn't what meditation is. And I'll just share my one son, very active energy. My kids were athletes, through college. And he's working now, right? So we're sitting a lot. He's in customer success. And sometimes when it's a nice day, we'll be getting dinner ready, after work. And he says, Mom, I'm just going to go for a quick walk. And we have a beautiful park with very steep hills and go through the woods, right? Very, very good cardio, but also you're really in the midst of the woods, right? And it's very quiet and you're in nature. And he goes, 15 minutes, I'll be back. I'm like, okay. And he comes back. He's a new kid, but he's moving, but he's meditating at the same time because being in nature has this beautiful effect on our soul. But it reframes that bad day, right? Before he can, he comes to dinner so that he can reframe and be present for dinner. And I think we forget to slow down to speed up, right?
No, it's a beautiful technique. And as a matter of fact, knowing that I was going to be facing you today or being with you today, I took a very nice walk this morning. I'm in a beautiful place and there were some cows in the pasture and the whole thing was just, no, it's true. It's true. Now, obviously, the transcendental meditation technique is something beyond a walk, but we do it in conjunction. We also do yoga postures in connection with the transcendental meditation. But the transcendental meditation is an experience of transcending, going deep inside. Now, I love to quote William Wordsworth, who had the experience spontaneously. And he said, I fell asleep in body and became a living soul. If we can even imagine that, and that's what we have to do is imagine it. The body totally relaxed, a deep relaxation. People say it slows down. One person said to me, everything slowed down and then I disappeared. And so there's this profound relaxation, but that living soul part, and we're not a religion, so don't be misled by that. But I think everybody can relate to this idea of great percolating liveliness at the same time that we're deeply rested.
So the TM, how does it improve performance in, high stress industries? Like you said, your person that does, the stock market, right? How
Right.
can we use that, the TM? And I'm just going to say the TM because that transcendental, for some reason, my mouth does not want to say it today, Jim. The TM, how, if we're in crazy motion like that, how do we reel that in and put this into place? Is that part of what you teach?
Yeah. Now let me jump to Mike Love that we've talked about. Mike Love, the lead singer of the Beach Boys. And I just got a text from him last night, and he and I are close for a number of reasons, but he invited me to his concert a couple of weeks ago and gave me great seats and gave me a podcast. But he made sure to end before, so that he had time to meditate before his performance. He absolutely protected that time so that he could meditate. Because what does that do? It calms us down, but he can't go out there like some zombie because the whole world lights up, And so it's a combination of deep relaxation and reorganizing our brain, and also giving us actually energy. We have to tell our people better not to meditate just before bed, because yes, it relaxes you, and I had one film producer say to me, yes, and I was up all night, so it's energizing.
Which is, but when we show up for work or our business or the concert, right?
Yeah,
You got to bring the energy.
absolutely. It's total energy. And so, that's the combination. And if you want to talk about the brain, the frontal area of the brain is what we want to have engaged. And the back part of the brain, and that's also, there's a place called the amygdala where the anxiety accumulates, the fear center. And the TM shuts that down while waking up that prefrontal cortex where we do our thinking and our planning and our executing. So, and I actually have a talk on YouTube where I talk about that very thing, that don't think of this as something that dulls you down, dumbs you down, not, and in a way, this transcendental meditation, we compare the brainwave patterns during transcendental meditation with other things like daydreaming. And the transcendental meditation is both at the same time. That is, it's alpha coherence, alpha 1 coherence, which goes along with high performance. And I even sent you one study that compares the performance of TM meditators with top athletes, top executives who have beautiful brainwave patterns. And there's more of this integrated brain functioning. That means integrating both the relaxing part and the performance part. And they're both integrated in the transcendental meditation practitioners. So, yeah, no, it's all about performance. And if anybody wants to look at all the famous people that we have, Howard Stern, I get all kinds of people coming in who, like, I heard about you on Howard Stern, and everybody would just scratch the Howard Stern, and he talks about it. They tell me all the time, that it helped his mother from depression, and he's regular in it. And so, and Clint Eastwood, who maybe now at 90 something has finally done his last movie, and he is a regular TM meditator. It's like part of the secret.
And see, this is the thing, the manifestation, law of attraction, right? All of that from that movie,
Yeah.
The Secret, but they're missing such a key part, which is in this meditative state and the alpha waves and all those things, the scientific words you used before. But
Yeah.
just a couple of things I want to maybe ask follow-up questions on, but also address. I think now meditation has become more mainstream. I'm going to just use that word. I don't know if that's the right word, but more mainstream because of big CEOs who have come forward and said, I meditate every day. I can't start my day without it. Otherwise, I'm living in utter chaos. The other thing you mentioned was the depression. And mental health is a big issue. I know, and I'm in the United States, right? So I know it's a big issue here in the US. I'm sure it's a big issue around the world, Jim, right? So
Yeah.
this is something that I think depression, and I know there's chemical imbalances and all of these things, but these tools that you're talking about, I think can truly help ease that depression. Like you said, Howard Stern's mom, right? And so,
Right.
and the third thing I just wanted to comment on, it doesn't matter the age, that we have all the ability to do this, right? It's not like you need to be older, that your life is calmer. And here's my question now. So with
Yeah,
that
okay.
said, 90, Clint Eastwood, 90, God bless him. I am a Clint Eastwood fan.
Yeah.
The rock star, right? The Beach Boy rock star love and all of that. Are you finding that the kids today, and when I say the kids, like my kids are 23, 26, Are they more open than they've been? Because you've been doing this a long time. Are you finding that your listenership and the people reading your book and the people who are following you, are they getting younger and younger, or are you finding, are they aging? You know?
Oh, yeah, no, great question. And so in 2005, I went out and basically hung out a shingle and began doing this full time. And most of the people were my age, which at that time, shouldn't tell my age, but at that time was like 61. And it
God
was
bless you.
mostly, yeah, I'm 78, you know?
You look good, my friend. Holy smokes. God bless you. That's cool, man. That's
Thank
cool.
you. You know, so and it was mostly people, you know, baby boomers, and that's who we saw. And that's pretty much now timed out. And so with the people that we're getting are a lot in the 30s and 40s. And mostly the really younger ones are their parents bring them. And I taught a young woman, and I want to at least get a brief 1 minute testimonial from her, because she came in because her mother sent her, but because of stress also, a 17-year-old.
Oh,
And she, on the day of instruction, she said to me afterwards, she said, the anxiety's gone. And I checked with her 2 or 3 days later, it's gone. I checked with her a week later, it's gone. You know, so, and people bring their kids, because what a stressful world they live in.
yeah.
Besides everything else, the economy's tanking, and where are they supposed to work?
Yeah.
And the effect for them is tremendously soothing, tremendously soothing.
God, and here's the thing, that thank goodness that you're doing this, you've perfected it, because I agree. I think these kids graduating, you know, my son graduated and COVID hit. So for 2 years he didn't
Wow.
work. And I mean, you know, thank goodness he was living home and all of that. But he's behind now with his 401k. And we're, you know, my kids are smart because, you know, MBA in finance here. It's like, no, you live home, please. I know you want to move out, but you come and go as you please. Live home, try to save your money. You have to catch up. You have to recoup that 2 years of lost income, which is a lot when you're in your 20s, right? We know that now at the, you know, the ends of the last, you know, kind of journey here. The other thing too,
I'm past the end, right? We covered that.
well, no, you're still in your prime, my brother.
I feel like it.
You're still in your prime, but these kids are living in a really, really tough time. The next thing I'm curious about, you know, mindfulness apps, everybody's going to, you know, we hear meditation. How is the TM and what you're doing different from what I'm going to use the word mainstream? I don't know if that's the right word again, but you know what I'm saying. There's an app for that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and we actually now do have a digital course also, where you can use your phone. But the difference, first of all, we are one integrated program. We have a certifying process that's very strict, so that when a person says that they're a transcendental meditation certified teacher, then first of all, there are 4 days of instruction. We don't just say, okay, do this, sit like this. We carefully take people through these 4 days of instruction. Now, on the first day of instruction, which isn't enough, you need the follow-up so that you understand what's going on. But on that first day, we don't leave somebody until we know, I quoted Wordsworth earlier, that we know that they have experienced this deeper, it's deeper. I mean, I suppose that's the key word. This is deeper than we can get, and the brainwave coherence is more. It's a very special experience during the transcendental meditation practice. And unfortunately, you can't just pick it up from a book, not even from my book. I hope I don't hurt my sales, but you can't pick up the technique, and your buddy can't just tell you the technique. You sit with a certified teacher. We take you through the steps of instruction, and then we ask questions. We ask you even simple things like, do you feel relaxed? And then based on what people say, we may give other instructions. Some people are kind of in and out, half an hour, 45 minutes. Other people, we sit there longer, so because we want to be sure they have the experience. And one of the most interesting ones, this is a tricky area, are people who have been doing a mindfulness practice.
Mm.
And that's what they do. And so they sit there for 15 minutes and they do this mindfulness practice. And what we, as transcendental meditation teachers, do is give them this other experience. And there's no effort. There's no effort in transcendental meditation. And basically, there is effort. And they have some effort. And when they plug in, you can't supplement this technique. When they plug in something else, maybe some special breathing, some special way of sitting like that, there's some effort. And we just actually, so we have to sometimes work them a little bit longer. And I have had people who have done mindfulness be among those that you mentioned, who are just saying, they just say, thank you so much for this one. And yeah, so it's just it's that effortlessness. And interestingly and ironically, to use an English major word, ironically, that people have to learn how to do nothing. They have to learn how to be completely effortless. And so your certified transcendental meditation teacher is an expert in effortlessness.
What a great word, because again, it goes back to the level of stress, anxiety, mental health issues, all of those things. We feel everything is an effort, not when you say that word effortless, I guarantee my brain thought, is that even possible? That was my immediate reaction when you said that. And I'm sure my listeners are feeling the same way.
Yeah.
How did you, I'm going to use the word stumble. I know you didn't stumble upon this because I'm sure your research and everything, but how did you land on this effortlessness that you're describing and putting all the pieces together? It's fascinating to hear someone's journey on how they came up with something that is so transformative.
Yeah. At the time that I came to this, which was 1970 is when I learned, and I was a student, my hair was longer. And I was in the fourth year of my PhD training. And interestingly enough, what I was looking for in all of my training was I wanted to know about the secrets of life. I went into literature and I quote things like Wordsworth because I wanted to know, William Blake, or everybody that I read, Melville. I wanted to know the secrets of life. So I gave a talk to the English faculty, all these wonderful, famous figures. And I said to them, I'm not happy. I said, the graduate students are not happy. Why are we studying something and we come out at the end of it and launch into a profession and we're not happy? And I also said, isn't it our responsibility in this field to be able to make people happy? After all, they're reading stories, they're reading the great highest expressions in human history. And when I finished that talk, it was interesting because there were no questions for me. These are the most talkative men and women that you could picture. There were no questions for me. And that's how I came to the transcendental meditation, is that really I was trying everything. It's like, I want to sort this out. And I shared with you how in high school, my father passed away suddenly. And when I looked at that experience, I was like, I don't want just to be proficient in a profession. I want to know. I want the answer to that. So it was a very, very big ask. and when I began the transcendental meditation, I didn't realize at all at first how much it was. I just knew, wow, this is relaxing. And actually, in retrospect, I look back and I realize how much I got right at the beginning. I didn't realize it. Like I turned in my dissertation completed after 4 months after learning transcendental meditation. It was nowhere near completion. I remember my dissertation director, his name was Harrison Hayford, bless him. And he kept saying, I'm flabbergasted. It was a complete surprise, the amount of progress that I made. And then there came about a year later, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who founded this practice, was doing in-person courses.
Cool.
And I went to a 1-month course in Amherst, Massachusetts, with Maharishi in person. And I kept sitting in the lecture hall, and I was literally saying to myself, this is what I always saw in great books, Shakespeare, Milton, Dante, great books, except this is in the flesh. And this is actually being customized so that I can gain that same thing that this teacher has. I gave a talk on Shakespeare, and I'd taken a course in Shakespeare biography, of which there is none. They know nothing about him, but there's huge scholarship about it. And so I did a talk about that, and it was going to be Shakespeare and no men. Now, Shakespeare is all men and no man. And Maharshi said, no, the talk should be creating a Shakespeare in the mind and heart of every student. The ambition for this technique is that high, to actually create. And some of my colleagues at that time said, well, maybe it would be an Einstein, maybe it would be a Bach or Beethoven, but basically creating that kind of genius. And that message caught on so much. Like I remember a student who was in the course at that time, 50 years later, he came back and quoted it to me. He said, creating a Shakespeare in the mind and heart of every student. And I realized that this experience of transcending, innocent as it is, in one sense, it's just, we go back, it's our own self. We are experiencing the universe. We're experiencing the cosmos. The head of the Transcendental Meditation program is a quantum physicist. His name is Dr. John Hagelin, and a very, very widely respected quantum physicist. And he explains that the whole universe comes up from a field of no excitation at all. It's called the unified field, or he calls it the superstring. There are these little invisible strings, all this energy, and yet completely unmanifest. And so in the transcendental meditation, we're contacting that field that is the source of everything. And so that explains why there are so many of us, and there are millions now, millions around the world who do this practice, and we're very, very dedicated to it, committed to it. And the thing is too, like even talking with you as I am right now, this isn't work, And when I teach transcendental meditation to someone, and then yesterday we finished a course with 7 people, and they're all, thank you, thank you, thank you. And really the most appropriate thing, sometimes I say, you're welcome, but the most appropriate thing is thank you guys, because of what it is, how much pleasure it is, and how much I get more and more just aware of and drawn into that knowledge of this infinite, of the infinite.
Yeah. And how, to do this for a living and see people get these breakthroughs. And, I'm going to assume we're almost out of time. Literally, we are out of time, but I do need to ask this one last question in combination. I know that we are the pharmaceutical industry, right? There's an app for that. There's a pill for that.
Yeah.
So anxiety, Lexapro, all of those kinds of pills. Are people able to get off of the medication? And if yes, how long does it take for people to feel that shift of effortlessness that you're talking about? Because it feels good, right?
Right. No, 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 it feels really good. And of course, caution, talk to your doctor. Don't
Of
make
course.
this kind of change.
Right.
But I have seen instances of it where people are able to get that peacefulness not from a pill. And often they don't like the pill. One person said to me that basically I was kind of, I don't remember exactly how she said
Like,
it, but
ugh, right? Like, ugh,
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Technical word.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so there's a fellow, and I may even do a podcast with him who it wasn't just prescribed drugs. He's now 14 years sober, but he took drugs. And so I taught him, and after 3 minutes, he said to me, "This feels like what it felt like when I got high."
Wow.
3 minutes. I had one 11-year-old who was brought there not really willingly by his parents.
Mm.
Um, so he was very skeptical and just the sweetest, most beautiful young fellow, bright future. And I taught him, and it was after a few seconds I asked him, and he said, "Wow, it's a real thing. It's a real thing that we do for people."
And here's the thing, Jim. I think that I know you've been successful since the 70s doing this, which is wonderful. I personally, and I don't know, because as I age, I realize I'm always curious, but I realize as I age how much I don't know.
Yeah.
Where in my 20s I thought I knew everything. In my 60s, I know nothing, right? That's what I keep saying. I know nothing. How have I survived 61 years, right? So,
Right.
but I think, and I'm so excited to be doing the show with you because I think this is needed. I think that we are on a precipice in this world of anxiety and angst and turmoil and disharmony and we have this diversity that is man-made, right? That we're creating angst out of nonsense. So I feel like this is such an important show, and what you're doing is so important. Your book, End Anxiety, I think everybody needs to read it, number one. And it was funny before you said, I hope I don't ruin my book sales. Here's what I think. I think people will buy the book because it's curious, right? The curiosity of, let me learn more about this dude. Let me learn more about this transcendental meditation. Let me get a vibe of what this is all about. So I think, if anything, my gut is the book sales are going to skyrocket because it's that curiosity. People, they don't go, oh yeah, let me try this because I think it's going to work, right? It's like,
Right.
yeah, I'm skeptical. I don't buy this dude. I think there's something here that sounds kooky, right? Then they
Yeah.
read the book and then they hear the stories and they follow you. And all of a sudden it builds that know, like, trust factor. So I think that not only is the book going to be super successful, but I think the encore of them hiring you will be, just brilliant.
Beautiful.
So the book, I think, is the curiosity piece, and then they could follow you and all those other pieces of the puzzle, right, to really become entrenched in your community. So email Jim directly at jgmwords@gmail. That's his email. Of course, you can go to his website, and he has a free gift on the website. So go to endanxietybook.com. And on that page, there's actually a couple of chapters, right, Jim, that you offer?
Yeah, several chapters and the preliminary stuff and the introduction by Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
I
So
love it.
yeah. And I just wanted to say a great website to go to is tm.org. tm.org. That's kind of the great gathering place. And because there are TM teachers wherever you are in the country, and really, certainly in the country, there's always a TM teacher within striking distance. So
One last question, because now you've just said something that made me curious. So there's TM teachers everywhere. Awesome. It's available, right? Do you have to do this live, or?
okay, so we do have now the digital course, and that's set up so that you can do you still have to do the first day instruction in person. And that's so we can sit with you and make sure you actually have this experience. And actually sitting with this person, and I don't want it to be about myself, but any TM teacher, part of our training is mainly just getting immersed in that experience of transcending and transcending and transcending, so that when you sit with this person, you're sitting really in the presence of that experience, and then that person gives you the experience. But no, we have many teachers, and it's important to know that. I couldn't handle them all.
I was going to say that you wouldn't sleep, my friend. You would just be doing this all day, right?
That's
It's
right.
effortless, but you do need to sleep. The body needs to rest, right?
That's right. That's
So
right.
once again, guys, question directly for Jim. It's jgmwords@gmail. The website is endanxietybook.com. Buy the book, check out Jim, start following him. And you know what? This is one of those, gosh, non-invasive, easy peasy things that you can do that literally can change your life or change a family member's life if they are dealing with anxiety and depression, or if they just feel like they're in constant chaos. This might be the book to be the start of a journey of making it better for you or for a loved one. So again, check out the book, check out Jim, connect with Jim, and report back. I'm very curious because life-altering things like this that are non-invasive, meaning we don't need surgery, we don't need medication, that we could do it through our own brain, is miraculous, right? That's the miracle of life. And people like you who are curious to investigate and figure it out so that we all benefit. So thank you for that, Jim. I loved meeting you. You're a true pleasure to hang out with. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much. What a beautiful job you do. It's just wonderful. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to be with your listeners.
Back at you. You're doing amazing things. Keep it up. You got maybe another 100 years to go.
Yeah, that should do it.
That should do it, right? Thank you again, Jim. And thank you for joining me weekly as we question, build, and discover. No matter what change you're going through, between my guests and I, we really do provide, I hope, stories and expectations and books and transcendental meditation and all of these resources. Here's the deal. You know, I end with this, Jim, every time I end the show. Information is a beautiful thing. If we do nothing with it, it's simply information. Put that information, put the strategy, buy the book that we talked about today, or look for a TM instructor in your area, but make that leap of faith, put it into action. When we go into action or take the information and move it forward, that's where magic starts happening in life. So again, Jim, thank you again for being on, and thank you all for tuning in weekly as we discuss all of these amazing things in life to help you change, and whatever change you're going through, we hope it makes it just a smidge easier for you. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net with me, your host, Connie Whitman. You know, I'm honored that you're on this journey of change with me, and I can't wait to see you next week. I wish you all amazing, inspired week filled with wonderful change that you choose. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.